Three, two, one.
Welcome to the show, my lovely, lovely people. It's BHawk Live. In just a little while, my little brother from San Antonio, SAJay, will be joining me on BHawk Live to break down, because it's a big game, week 2. It's the Battlehawks versus San Antonio Brahmas. If I'm not mistaken, it's supposed to be a home game for the Brahmas, but I think there's only like 2 Brahma fans coming, and I think it's San Antonio Jay and his lovely lady friend Sabrina are going to be the only 2. Maybe Brahma Babe and Brahma Mike might be coming, but other than that, it's not. But hey, we got to give a big shout out or a big thoughts and prayers to Jackie from the Horns Forward podcast. She's dealing with some family issues. Her dad is in the hospital, so go over to the Horns Forward and tune into them, guys. Listen, you guys all heard me talk last week on the show with KJ about the Houston game, and I said I had no faith in Manny Wilkins. Last night when we did the X-Fan show, Arlington was like, I need to backtrack. Well, guess what? Today I will backtrack. I do have some faith in Manny Wilkins. He actually played a halfway decent game, even though most of our stuff was through running touchdowns and rushing yards and stuff like that. But hey, that's beside the point. That's okay. We ended up winning the game. So did the Battlehawks look good? Well, I ask you this as fans. Was it that we looked good, or did we just play a bad team in Houston? Is the question we have to ask ourselves. Now, San Antonio went to the championship last year. They didn't look too good in their game that they played, which, if you guys watched that game, they played Arlington, which Arlington did not look good. But Luis Perez, see, okay, there you go. A bad team. KJ said it, a bad team, who was on last week with me. Well, we talked about it. So he's saying it's a bad team. So the question we really have to ask ourselves, fans, Battlehawk fans, are the Battlehawks are they who we thought they were? That's the great Coach Dennis Green said. Are they who we thought they were? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Are they? I don't know. But see, I think San Antonio Jay is a little scared because he's not here. He's supposed to be here at 8 o'clock. But, that's my little brother. I think he's just trying to pull some stuff because I had some stuff going on last week, and I had to join their show late. So I think he's just waiting to join this show late, which, that's typical of a San Antonio fan. They come in late to the ordeal. Hello, ma'am. How are you? You were in Houston. So the question I pose, fans, is this, did the Battlehawks play well, or did we just play a bad team? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. You want to ask me? I think it's a little bit of both. That's what I want to say. A little bit of both. That we played a bad team. Because passing was okay, but we didn't get the rock in the end zone. And what are we supposed to do as quarterbacks? As quarterbacks, they're supposed to get the rock in the end zone. Manny didn't do that. Manny did not get the rock in the end zone. You know what I'm saying? I mean, don't get me wrong. Manny played great. He did good. But again, did he really play up? Did he really play up to it? Did the team play up to their standards? Now, rushing, we did great. Me and KJ. Yeah, I mean, look, speaking of The Rock, they couldn't even get him there in the game in Houston. That's absolutely true. They couldn't. I mean, do we really think he's going to come to St. Louis? Yeah, I mean, Akeem Butler, no receptions. He had 1 target, I think, and he dropped it. 1 target. And normally Akeem catches the balls that he can't catch, the balls that he shouldn't catch, and he catches them. That's what makes Akeem Butler. I mean, I've said it plenty of times on this show. Wide open, Akeem Butler can't catch a pass. In passes that he's not supposed to catch, he catches them. That's what makes Akeem Butler who Akeem Butler is, people. That's why we love him so much here in St. Louis, because of that reason right there. You know, whether you want to say it or not, that's the reason why. You know, still no San Antonio Jay, but you know, that's, like I said, that's typical of a St. Louis as a Brahmas fan. They always show up late. They showed up late to their game, that's for sure, last week. But I mean, so the question we have to ask, are we going to be able, how are we going to look this week? Because let's really look at it. When San Antonio has come to St. Louis, when it's mattered, they've won the games. They beat us. To get to the championship, they beat us. As Herm Edwards says, we play to win the game. And you're right, we did play to win the game. I'm not taking anything away from what the Battlehawks did. That's not what I'm doing, people. What I'm asking the question is, and there's only been one person that said it, and he's a Houston fan right here. KJ said it. Are we as good as we think we are, or did we just play a bad team? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Are we a good team, or do we just play a bad team? Now, San Antonio, defending XFL Conference champions. We're going to see how that goes. They did not play very well against Arlington at all, which we all know that. We all watched that game. We all saw it. They did not play well at all. But, you know, hey, it is what it is. But again, I go back to every time San Antonio has played us, right? I mean, Manny Wilkins, 17 for 22, 189, no touchdowns, 0 interceptions, completion rating to 77%. Not a bad completion rating for a quarterback. Now, where we did shine is we have 2 of the league leading rushers in Howard and Sailors. Howard with 13 attempts for 115, but he had a yard, had the long yard of 74, averaged 8.8. Sailors 16 for 98 with 1 touchdown. Manny Wilkins with 2 rushing touchdowns. You know, Sailors had the 1, Howard had the 1. Okay, now, again, with our receiving core that we have, this should be like an air raid offense. This should be greatest show on the turf with JPZ and Jake Sutherland, Akeem Butler, Blake Jackson. I mean, JPZ, the man that's what, 5'1", 4'11"? I don't know. JPZ's a little bitty dude. But guess what? 6 targets. He had 6 catches for 83 yards. No touchdowns. Guys. Can rushing keep winning? Scott, the way the San Antonio Brahmas, not Bananas, played the game, the championship game, they never should be allowed in St. Louis. Well, we got 2 home. They got a game here in St. Louis. You know, I mean, look, like Mike Tackett says, if you guys know who Mike Tackett is, which will be joining me next week as we break down the St. Louis DC Defenders game. This is a man who knows his football, from the EFL to the Japan leagues, spring football, pro football. That dude knows his shit when it comes to football. And he will be on the show next week, special time, 7:00 next week, Thursday. He will be joining me to break down the DC Defenders and the St. Louis Battlehawks. Okay, Scott, now stop it. They're not the Bananas. But like he says right here, he goes, St. Louis is definitely going to experience a sophomore slump. They lost a lot of talent and their OC. I mean, now, Mike, I think some people will disagree with you on the OC because a lot of people here in St. Louis did not like Bruce Gankowski. They liked the coordinator we got now. A lot of people here in St. Louis really crapped on AJ for the way that he played in the last couple weeks, but a lot of people didn't know that he was injured and playing football. So hats off to AJ McCarron for playing those last few weeks, injured as hell, and getting us to where he got us. Again, this goes back. Where do we go from here as a BattleHawks team? You just can't keep rushing, because what's eventually going to happen is they're going to put 8 guys in the box. We see it in the NFL all the time. You see it all the time in running games. What happens? They start running the ball. They start dumping guys into the box to stop the run. Okay? That's what's going to happen here. If we keep doing this progression of run, pass, run, pass. I mean, don't get me wrong. Manny Wilkins did have 8 attempts for 43 yards. Scored the 2 touchdowns. I mean, Max Dugan, 3 attempts for 12 yards. So are we a rushing team? Is that the identity of the St. Louis BattleHawks? Who knows? We don't know. It was only week 1. In my opinion, week 1, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like the preseason for the UFL. We're really not going to know, maybe by this week and next week, who these real teams are. Because if you look, Arlington looks a lot better. DC, Abram Smith is back. He didn't have Abram didn't have a very good game, but George Ta'amu kind of went off, even though he missed a bunch of passes, still threw for 211 yards. Then you had Luis Perez, who lit it up. Even though he threw a pick, still on the top. Manny, still on the top. But again, I go back to, is this a running team? Are we seeing a running team? How do you fans feel about that as us having a running team? Me? I'm not too keen on it. Defense played great. Let's not say that. Our defense played very, very well. That's the one thing we could say about our defense. That's the one thing that we could say about the BattleHawks is they've always had a decent defense. Chris Claiborne, all of those coaches over there on the defense, have done really, really well. I mean, look, Peta, who's a beast, he racked off 3 total tackles, 3 solos, and 2 sacks, leads the league with him and 2 other guys. So again, how much can we rely on our defense? Hello, Mr. Antonio. Hey, Mr. Antonio. Ask your boy San Antonio Jay where he's at. He's supposed to be here tonight to break it down, but he ain't here. I think he pansied out on me. I think he pansied out on me, but that's okay. I'll just keep going. Doesn't matter. We'll see if he tunes in sooner or later, right? But our defense played very, very well. If you look at the way our defense played, I mean, Sandy, I'm not saying that I wasn't impressed by Manny. What I'm saying is, did he impress us through the air or was it his feet? Because he didn't get a touchdown through the air. He got 2 on the ground. I'll give him that. Played a great game. But overall, is it really what we need as a team? Are we going to be a run team? Now, we've seen in the UFL in the past and the XFL, the run is what a lot of these teams do. I mean, hell, when DC went to the championship, they were led by running and rushing. Okay, we've seen it done at Birmingham. Did it last year with those guys. Run less, rushing team first. Is that what we want as St. Louis BattleHawk fans? Do we want a rushing team? No, I don't think we do. I think we want the air raid with the receivers that we have, and Peasy and Akeem. I mean, Sailors had a great game out of the backfield when it came to rushing. Great game. Rushing. But again, I go back to this. Is that what we want? Oh, look who it is. Look who finally. So that's my takedown of the game. And I'm going to ask San Antonio Jay about this because we're going to ask him about his game. So, San Antonio Jay, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. How about yourself?
Well, I'm doing good. So the question I pose for the St. Louis Battlehawk fans is the St. Louis Battlehawks really as good as they are? Or did they just play a bad team?
That's a hard question to answer, man. Do I think they're potentially improved over last year's St. Louis Battlehawks? Potentially, right? The biggest X factor here is going to be your quarterback.
Yes.
You have a lot of pretty decent receivers. You've got two really good receivers, one of which should be in the NFL. I'm still not sure why he's not there.
You talking about
But,
the bitch Peasy?
Actually, I was thinking Butler. Right?
Yeah, Butler had one target and he dropped it.
Mm-hmm. He did. However, that's also a lot of that goes back to the chemistry between the quarterback and the receivers. What's up, Sandy? Good to see you. Right? So if your quarterback doesn't have a relationship with your receiver, he's not going to throw to that guy, even if he knows that guy's the number one offensive weapon from prior year.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that there's some relationship issues there that need to be mended. Maybe this week that's what they're working on. What's going on, Rig? Texas represent, baby. One state, one love. Let's go. I don't think Manny is a horrible quarterback. I mean, obviously he's, playing better than a lot of other quarterbacks that are out there. He's in the UFL, not exactly the NFL, but it's not exactly, not the NFL.
Well, I mean, it's not football.
Yeah, I mean, it is a legitimate football league. We've talked about that before. Banana Jay, you coming to town? Oh, because of the yellow with the Brahmas?
I think Scott is confused that the Savannah Bananas were supposed to be here this weekend, but they got rained out, rescheduled for July 18th and 19th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay. It could be that, or it could be because of the yellow of the hat. I mean, I get it.
It could be.
You guys are an interesting group when you come up with your insults, like, one that you're trying to make go away that you started and you're 100% responsible for. And now you're living with the fallout from it still to this day.
Wait. Who? Me?
Yeah, you.
What did I start?
The certain fans pooping standing up. That's 100% you, man.
Oh, God, I hate
you. Started all that.
It finally went away.
No, it didn't. It came back up 2 days ago by your guy. I believe it was the Beard or Captain Hawkeye, one of the two. I can't remember, but one of them brought it back up. They said Vegas fans still poop standing up, and I'm like, are you serious? It's 2025.
What
yes.
morons.
Anyways,
morons.
Again, you've got some unknowns on your team.
We do.
You got some, on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. Do I think that the Battlehawks are potentially better than what they were last year? Yes. Do I think they're
yes, we'll get to that about what San Antonio Jay is going to be doing this weekend. So just relax.
Oh yeah. Yes. And Sandy's right. What didn't you start, right?
Well,
I mean, let's be honest.
Certain people in St. Louis, this show, when it was way back called the X-Fan or the XFL STL Talk Show, we didn't start Cacall. We didn't start the Battle Dome. We didn't start any of that way back in 2019. We didn't start the Cacall is law. We didn't start any of that, right, Sandy? According to people here in St. Louis, which
right.
It all started
just like SAJay isn't responsible for calling you guys the Battle Chickens and it catching on.
You're right.
Yet every single post that's in San Antonio about the game this weekend is the Battle Chickens. You're welcome.
That did stick around the league. So yeah.
Yep. Hey, and that's fine. That's fine. I don't care, right? I don't want credit for it.
Well, yeah, we don't care anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to talk trash, man. That's what I do.
Right. So, exactly. So let's talk some trash because your team shit the bed.
Oh, okay. So you're catching me at a bad time right now. Okay. I'm in transition between SAJ, the sports analyst, and SAJ, the trash talker.
Okay,
right?
well, I want to go to SAJ, the trash talker, because your team really shit the bed, dude, against
They
Arlington.
had a bad game. They had a bad game. Not going to lie. Can't cover that up. However, all that really did was give false hope to Arlington, because Arlington now thinks that they're the greatest thing on earth.
They are. That is true.
Yeah, going into our game, San Antonio or St. Louis thinks, oh man, this is going to be a walk in the park against San Antonio. Remember, this is the team that is the reigning XFL champion from 2024. Okay, so we had a rough start last year too. We almost lost our second game in Memphis,
That is
but
true.
thanks to he who shall not be mentioned, we came back and we won last second touchdown, and then we went on a tear.
Talking about
including,
the guy who tore you guys up, the rusher that tore you guys up.
No, not Kevin Ballage. No, I'm talking about our quarterback. Okay, Kevin Ballage, that was a mistake letting him go.
Yes.
Okay.
Big time.
And although I will say that two of the guys that we kept from last year are a very solid 1-2 punch when given the opportunity and a line that can actually block and open up holes for them. That's a very dangerous 1-2 punch. But okay, so here's the sports analyst in me, right?
Okay.
The problem is our offensive line needs to produce. They need to actually hold, and they need to create those openings. Now, did they hold okay? For the most part, they did well, but we kept running the same run scheme over and over again. Right up the middle, your defense is going to know every single time you get into an I formation, guess where it's going?
You're going to put in the box.
Yeah. So, and sadly, we're going to run it that way too. And then when we started running to the outside, we started getting some production, right? Because they were overloading the box.
That's what Kevin.
Right.
Keelan 77 yards for the touchdown.
Yeah. We did not make any adjustments to accommodate for their Arlington's offense overloading the box on us when we would do our run scheme. Kellen Mond also never challenged a single defender down deep. I think our farthest pass yard, or I'm sorry, our farthest pass play was about 20, 22 yards.
Well, didn't he have that?
That's it.
Didn't he have that like almost 40-yarder down that he overshot or undershot Kirkland, I thought? Or was it just over Kirkland? There was that one long play that if Kirkland would have made, because if I'm not mistaken, Kirkland was wide open and had his defender.
There was one I remember that was out of bounds.
Is that the okay? Maybe that's the one. If it would have connected, Kirkland would have been down the sideline and got the touchdown.
Yeah. So sideline is here. Receiver's running out this way. Ball sails over his head as he's going out of bounds. So A, he would have never been able to catch it in bounds. B, he wouldn't have been able to do anything with it, even if he could have gotten it in bounds, because it was so tight on the edge. Now, had he fanned it out a little bit more, then yeah, that would have been on the money, and we could have done something with that. But again, rusty quarterback coming in, and rain's not really being taken off of him. You could tell our play call was conservative the entire game, even on defense. So, we didn't get after the ball, and we didn't manage the game the way the San Antonio did last year, which is what
you guys did not.
Basically, yeah, it put us in the driver's seat in every single game that we were in. This last week, not so much, right? Now, again, sports analyst in me, it's a couple of other factors that go into that. Kellen Mond, for as good as he potentially was in A&M, has not played a professional game in 3 years.
Correct.
Right? He had time with the practice squad with the Minnesota Vikings. I believe he was there for about a month, got cut. He was with the Cleveland Browns, I think it was, and got cut. There was a third team that he was with, and I can't remember what team the third one was. That was the one where he was there the longest. He was there for about a year.
Yeah.
None of those ever put him in a position where he would have been even on the starting roster, right? He was fighting for a spot essentially on the practice squad. You take an athlete, you work him out for about a month, and then you let him go. Where's he going to go? Football is a game based on your game readiness
Yes.
in relation to physical contact, right? If you're not in the game, if you're not playing at full speed, if you're not getting hit, if you're not getting pressured, if you're not doing these things, your skills are going to diminish.
Correct.
So to go from the couch to basically in a game situation in less than a month, there's no way, dude. There's no way he was going to be ready.
That's why I say that this first week is more like a preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
Was more like a preseason game. So that's why I kept saying, did St. Louis, are they really a good team, or did they just play a bad team? It's that simple.
Again, the problem is not knowing enough about every single athlete that's on your roster. It's hard for me to make that call.
Right.
The talent is there, right? You have to admit that part. The talent is there. But is that talent going to be able to gel together and be a cohesive unit? Or are you going to have, some struggles with attitude and, maybe some bad elements in the locker room, things like that? I don't know that St. Louis is necessarily going to have to worry about that. And I hate to say it, but I've got to give credit where credit is due. Becht is a great coach. He's good at leading a team. He's good at getting people to buy into his vision. I think the only thing at this point, does he have the firepower to be able to get it done with two unknown quarterbacks?
That's the question.
Right. And I'm going to be honest, at least one of them, the answer is going to be no. Okay. But which one is it? I'll let you guys figure that out.
Right now,
okay.
Let's go, because Sandy says here that they played a bad team. Now, listen, I have a feeling with your guys' offensive coordinator, with AJ Smith, who might be the best spring football coordinator there is. I have a feeling that watching our game and then watching the Brahmas, because I've said it, Jay, every time the Brahmas have come to St. Louis and they've needed to win a game, what has happened?
We won. Okay. But you also have to go back and look at our history.
St. Louis's offensive line has been together probably for the last years.
Yeah. And that's going to make a difference.
Very big difference.
But that's going to make a difference in providing a pocket for your quarterback, providing running lanes for your running back. That doesn't mean that that's an automatic guarantee. That just means you're giving those players the tools that they need to be successful. What they do with it is completely up to them. Can your running backs actually convert? Can they get the 3rd and short in those tight situations? Can Manny drop those 5 and 6 yard passes and then turn around and drop one down the field? That's the question. Okay. And again, yeah, you played Houston. Okay, let's be honest. You played Houston. That is not a great gauge for where your team is at.
Right.
Plain and simple.
I think we played a bad team. All right, so let's get to it, because what this show is, BHawk Live now, is about breaking down the teams position by position, right?
Okay.
So let's start at the main position, the quarterbacks.
Okay?
Now, since you're the special guest host, okay, we've seen the first preseason game of the season. Who has the better quarterbacks? Is it San Antonio or is it St. Louis?
Stats-wise, right now, it's St. Louis. Hands down. Can't argue that.
So we're going St. Louis. That's how I'm going.
Yep.
Okay. So we agree that St. Louis has the better quarterbacks then.
Yeah. If you look at Manny Wilkins, he went 17 to 22, 189 yards, the 77.3% pass completion rating, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's NFL numbers. Okay. Didn't see any touchdowns. But then again, I mean, the schemes that you guys were running, you probably were facing a lot of, red zone situations. And so you were able to just run the ball in. Obviously, your offensive line provided that opportunity.
What the hell is this? Listen, I appreciate you watching the show, but that might be literally one of the dumbest comments I've ever heard in my life. That Manny Wilkins is the better than Tom Brady. But that's a good one. That's a good troll mark. You know what? I'm going to say it right here because San Antonio, Jay, you know me. I love talking trash, right?
Yeah.
Manny Wilkins is the GOAT of all quarterbacks. He's better than Tom Brady. He is going to go down as the greatest living quarterback to ever play the game of football.
Yeah.
That's
Why
how
isn't he in the NFL then?
right now. Manny Wilkins.
Okay, when he wins his 8th Super Bowl, I expect an apology. Okay, but where is he right now?
I just agreed with you that Manny Wilkins is better than Tom Brady.
Okay. And again, I'm reminding you, where's Manny Wilkins at?
That doesn't matter. It doesn't.
Oh, it does matter.
Yes,
it does matter.
I am tailgating already on a Thursday. Manny Wilkins is the greatest quarterback to ever play the game of spring.
Oh. Behind Jack Cohn. Behind Jack Cohn of the San Antonio Brahmas.
No, not even Jack Cohn. Jack Cohn couldn't hold Manny Wilkins' jock strap. Just that.
Well, no, because he did. Because he never moved. So it wouldn't matter if he had a pocket or not. He just stayed frozen. So, I mean, anyways, okay. On paper.
We both agree that it is. I don't lie, Sandy. I don't lie. Manny Wilkins, the great. I am retracting it right now. Manny Wilkins is the greatest quarterback to ever play football. Great.
Oh man, I didn't know this was a variety show. I would have brought some jokes with me, man.
BHawk Live. What do you expect? It's me. When has this never been a variety show, right? That's why I am the unprofessional professional.
There you go.
I mean, come on. You know, that's why people call you my little brother. You know?
Yeah. You know, they can say what they want.
Aren't you?
I'm getting a little bit bigger than you now, though.
You are, bro. I've lost weight, bro. Look at this. Look at that.
Nice.
Barrel's
nice.
Going.
You get
the boot
you
is
get into
going.
your summer body.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm gonna get my summer body going. I'm gonna get my stance going and stuff like that, right?
Wait till all those boys see you at the Lake of the Ozarks in your two-piece.
They're gonna love it. Love it. Love it. All right, so let's get to the running backs. This is very hard for me to pick. This is a very, very hard one. Oh no, I lied. It's not. It's not.
No, you've got a pretty good stack of running backs, and our stats don't really show what our guys are capable of.
Correct.
Our biggest unknown here is Corbin, right? He was not with our squad last year. I've not had a whole lot of time to research him, but McFarland and Lovett both were, and both of them produced some yardage. Now, Lovett, we know, is a smash mouth running back.
Yes.
Right. He's going to get you the 3rd and 2, you know, the 2nd and 5, maybe 2nd and 5. I mean, that's a little bit of a stretch, but he's going to get you your hard fought yardage. And McFarland is the finesse runner. He's the one who's going to get you your 7 and 8 yards that you need.
Yes.
Your guys obviously know what the heck they're doing because Howard is averaging 8.8 and Sailors is averaging 6.1, and that's on 13 and 16 carries. That's pretty impressive. I mean, one guy went over 100 yards, one guy was too shy of 100 yards. Right. So you guys obviously went very run heavy.
Sailors did
100. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hell, even your quarterback got 43 yards.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So
is this a run team? Is this a running team?
It could potentially be, except for the fact if you look at Pearson's numbers.
Well, we'll get to there because San Antonio doesn't have slouches as receivers. They just didn't have a very good game in their first preseason.
I mean, especially, if you look at the numbers side by side, which we'll get to in a second, there's some dangerous things there, especially one player who has a chingos load of experience. Chingos means like a butt ton in Spanish.
Nice style too.
Yes. But let's stick with running backs.
Right.
I think all things considered, because you guys were playing, a kind of weak Houston team, you had dealer's choice, right? You could run it or you could pass it. You could do whatever you wanted. And I think you did do whatever you wanted that game,
Pretty much did,
right?
yes, pretty much did.
Yeah. San Antonio was very rigid, very frozen, did not make any kinds of adjustments until about the fourth quarter when we started seeing some actual forward progress. And then we started turning it on.
Yes.
But too little, too late. When you've got 6 minutes left on the clock and you're down by 30,
Yeah.
the defense isn't going to try and stop you nearly as much. So it doesn't really matter what your offense does or how good your offense is. You can't make up 30 points in 4 minutes.
No,
you know,
you can't in this game. I mean, so you're going to say
in this game maybe.
Right, you're going to say St. Louis right now has the better running back core.
The needle ticks slightly towards St. Louis right now.
Okay, now we're going to go to the receivers. I mean, listen. You got Kirkland. You got Harris. You got McFarland, who is somewhat of a stud out of the backfield when it comes to screen stuff like that. Now, if you look at the injury report, a lot of your injuries for the Brahmas are all second stringers and third string guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at St. Louis, we have 2 on there. But one very important, Hakeem Butler, who did not have a very good game, had 1 target, dropped the pass. But if you look at it, you got Jay Peasy, who had a great game, 98 yards, right? I mean, that is true. Listen, back in 2023, we did make up 18 points in 30 seconds thanks to Hyde and Ward. So it's possible in the UFL.
Let's just pick at those old wounds, guys. Come on. So yeah, if you look at receiver for receiver, I would say that San Antonio barely edges that one out because of us using our backs as receivers, right?
Okay.
You've got McFarland and Lovett that both caught passes. Lovett got 1 for 16, and McFarland got 2 for 6, right? And yours are all pretty much all of your receivers. Howard is the only one who he got 3 for 18 out of the backfield. The rest of these guys all, they're all essentially receivers. Hakeem Butler, again, I'm not going to put all the blame of that on Hakeem because if that chemistry isn't there, like if it was AJ, it would have been Hakeem Butler all day long.
I mean,
right?
Maybe.
Hakeem was his favorite target. That's who he went to most of the time, especially in high pressure situations, because he knew Hakeem was going to catch it. Hakeem was the number 1 receiver in the UFL last season.
He was. But listen, I mean, Jay Peasy, and we saw it in 2023 with Jay Peasy and Ben DiNucci, who should have actually been the BattleHawks quarterback this year. Like I said long time ago, that he said he was having conversations with the team. Now, listen, I only said Houston because I said it to piss everybody off. That's what I was. That Hakeem Butler wasn't listed with a hamstring last week on the injury report.
Yeah, I'm not sure where this rumor is coming from. He's not listed
last week on the injury report at all. He didn't get listed in Wednesday because on Tuesday at practice he strained his hamstring. So it was Tuesday with the injury report.
Okay.
When was it reported? Because I didn't see it. Because if we would have seen it last week, I guarantee you, me and KJ would have said something totally different then. But I mean, listen, this is okay. Jay Peasy is finally showing what Jay Peasy was. I don't think Jay Peasy got to show what he actually was last year with the BattleHawks. Jay Peasy,
fair enough.
Most dynamic receiver in this league in 2023. There was no other receiver that did what JPZ did in 2023. 2023, he really showed out. Him and Ben DiNucci showed out, right? They walked into St. Louis and they steamrolled us to get to the champion, to get to the playoffs. If we'd have won that game, Seattle would have been out. But they didn't. Seattle came in and they rolled us. Just like they almost rolled us in Seattle because DiNucci and JPZ went off in Seattle. Look, I'm not a fan of small receivers, but JPZ might be one of the best small receivers I've ever seen play this game.
Well, wait a minute now.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Didn't you guys have a guy last season by the name of Austin Prohl, who was a small receiver?
No, he was one of the like 5'9", 5'10", I think.
And that's kind of small. That's like running back numbers.
11.
At 5'10", that's kind of pushing it. Most receivers are like 5'11", 6 foot and up.
Well, that's true.
Right?
But he's like 4'11". He's not really. He's only like he's 5'7", I think.
Okay.
You know.
Again, if you've got the speed, who cares? You know.
I mean, right? Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying. I mean, on the same token, there's oh God, what the heck is his name? Not to bring up NFL, but there's a guy who made it on Dallas's starting squad that was like 5'5", 5'6". And the reason why is because he was fast as lightning, man. That you couldn't stop him, and he was so little he'd squirt right past you.
Was he on the special team? I thought he made special teams.
No. He was a wide receiver.
Was he? Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'll look it up and I'll send you the link. But the guy was tiny, and you couldn't stop him. You know. He also didn't have the greatest hands though either. So you know it kind of
hands. JP's got some great hands.
Yeah.
So
but no. Yeah, looking at JP's stats in 23, 60 receptions for 670 yards, which is almost unheard of. You know. So yeah, he definitely was the lead receiver. Going into 25, right? You've got 6 receptions for 83 yards already. Last year he had 26 receptions for only 217. So in 2 games, he could potentially eclipse all the yardage he made in, you know, one season. So
that's true.
You know, there is some danger there. However, okay, the one thing we got to keep in mind, if we can get Mon together and get him throwing the way he was at A&M, he's got Kirkland, Ward, Lovett, and McFarland. All 4 of those are 4 dangerous weapons, especially Ward with experience. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he has a Super Bowl ring. Okay. Not that the ring necessarily means anything, but what I'm saying is he's been in the big pressure games. He knows what it's like. He knows how to compose himself, and he can keep that younger receiving squad kind of together and not freaking out underneath the pressure. So advantage, I think, with the receivers goes to San Antonio, only by a tick.
Okay. Now, I mean, listen, I'm going by what I saw, and I'm going by what I saw with San Antonio, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to go with my BattleHawks there.
Okay.
I have to. Now, look, we go to the defense, right? Oh, man, this is hard because San Antonio had the best defense in all of the UFL last year, and they didn't really do so well this week.
Well, yeah, we had a lot of problems actually, you know, with coverage, wrapping up people, making the tackles. I saw a lot of blown tackles because, you know, they're trying to do the NFL just slam into you and knock you down thing.
That was true.
That's not football basics, guys. Wrap them up.
Right.
Although I will say, my guy Jordan Williams, right here. Okay, if you know, you know. Jordan Williams had 10 total tackles. Okay, that is combined. Your top 3 players.
That is true.
Had 10 tackles.
That is true.
Okay. Now, Greedy Williams, who's a new addition, right? We just picked him up this offseason. He had six solo tackles.
Correct.
Mosley had 5 total. Mayfield
Yep.
had 5. Mayfield's a return. Prince Emili had 4. Kavion Patton had 4. Like, we have a lot more overall, right? We have 61 tackles to your 37. Okay.
You got to remember,
Um,
back in 23, Vegas led the league in tackles, led all that.
mhm.
It win games
And was horrible.
and was horrible, right? Now, I mean,
Yeah.
listen, San Antonio has a great defense. They did in 20. I mean, last week didn't show it, right? They had a great
Right.
defense, okay?
Right. They had a great defense. Treating last week as a preseason game, yeah,
But
there's potential there.
Yeah, you're right. But if you really look at it, here came PETA out of nowhere, right? Here came PETA, the 2023 Player of the Year, played on a crappy team in Vegas, Defensive Player of the Year, played on a crappy team in Vegas, and he still somehow won the Player of the Year. He had 2 sacks and all that stuff, right? Me, again, I'm taking this as a week 1 playoff game. But the way that PETA played, I mean, you're right. Our defense was not on the field that much, like you said, because we didn't really need to be, because the time of possession was absolutely correct, lopsided between the BHawks and Houston, kind of like it was in your game.
Yep.
I mean, I'd have to go. I'm going to have to lean just a tad towards the BHawks on this one.
Yeah. Although,
and who are you going with?
I'm going with San Antonio. And here's the reason why. Even though we gave up some really crucial plays, we didn't get a whole lot of, we got 0 pressure on Perez.
That's true.
Which is unheard of for us.
That is true.
We were in every backfield last year. But if you look at the time of possession, it was almost 29 minutes to just over 31 minutes for Arlington. So we put up some defense, but they were able to do stuff with the ball when they had it. Okay. We were able to move it and extend the clock and then turn it over. And that's about all we did on offense.
That's about it. I would love for them to bring Vegas back to Cashman Field. You can shit on Cashman Field all you want, but I will tell you this. The best fan experience I had in 2023 in the in the XFL was in Vegas at Cashman Field. Best fan experience I had.
That was 23 was before my traveling days. So
best fan experience I had was in Cashman Field.
If you talk to one of my cohorts, the Mariachi Brahma, he said Cashman was probably the worst experience he'd ever had.
Well, listen, I love Jorge. Okay. Sometimes Jorge is not the brightest.
Well,
I think that hey, you're right. I didn't have to wait in line for popcorn. I could stand at the popcorn stand and turn around and watch the game and never missed a play. The only time I missed a play is when I had to go to the pisser. Only time.
And that's I'm from the way Cashman's been described to me, I'm surprised they didn't just have an outdoor trough and you just look over and be like, oh, hey, there it is.
Right. I mean, it was the best. I mean, it didn't matter where you stood in the stadium, you could see the game at all times. You never missed the action. Now, did it look aesthetically good? No, it did not. Yeah. But again, when you want an experience at football, when you're literally sitting on the field, basically, when you're sitting on that field and you get a guy in the end zone and he catches it, you could reach out and high five the guy.
You're not wrong.
Right here. Right here. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Truth be told, man, it's one of the reasons why I love Audi Field, because you can literally be on the sideline with the team. The grass goes right there, and that's where the player benches are.
The Cashman, because they did have a fence around the field, and they had a wall around the field. So unless you were in the stadium, you couldn't see inside the stadium. It's like going. It's like going to a Grizzlies game.
Oh, okay.
Is what it is. They're one of the Frontier League teams here. Yeah, okay. See, like Mike right here, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that simple. It was that fun. It was that fun. Players, yeah, I agree. I'm not saying players' facility was great. I'm saying that
for
was
the fans.
That was because of how it was set up. It was played in a baseball stadium. If you've ever done a field in a baseball stadium, a football field in a baseball stadium, right? You can't do it the traditional way. You literally have to do it from the third base line. You go from the left field line down to home plate. That's your 100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go straight out 120 yards. That means you literally have an entire center field open. In half a right field open. I've laid out baseball fields hundreds of times on football fields. Mm-hmm. And that's how you do it. I mean, that's why you look at the Oakham Coliseum. That's why it's basically pretty much all in the infield. The field is all in the infield, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah.
Well, Cockchaw Stadium, right? Same thing. You're playing in a converted baseball stadium.
Exactly.
Not bad if you're sitting in that, I believe it's the south end zone where it's covered with the upper deck, which would be the outfield. But any of the other sides, depending on what time of day it is, you're getting roasted directly by the sun. And you've been here in summertime. You know how nasty it gets here. It's basically St. Louis at, like, if St. Louis is at 10, Cockchaw's at 10.5.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Uh-huh. It's a little bit more roasty, but not necessarily probably as humid. Those are not great conditions. Now, somebody, Scott, made a comment about MLS style stadiums being the perfect experience for spring football.
Yeah, but it's a lot of work on that pitch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's
what people don't realize a soccer field is it slopes.
It slopes so the water drains off.
It slopes to the water drains down. It has one water main drain right down the middle of the field. Mm-hmm. And then it slopes at, let me gotta remember because I had to build soccer fields and slope them. It was for every foot you had to slope it a quarter of an inch to give it. And the crown is like, you can't see the crown unless you're cutting the field. You can't see the crown. You won't feel it. So it has to be a very slight pitch. So somebody had said, let's put the BHawks in St. Louis. I think it was Juan. And Juan, you actually need to call me on Messenger. St. Louis is already the St. Louis City Stadium said they will not put football in there. They won't. They won't. Mm-hmm. They will not do it. Like what a lot of people don't realize is that Lumen Field is actually pitched just enough so they can play soccer because the Sounders play in Lumen Field. So it has a pitch to their, that's why it's called the pitch. It has that pitch so the water can drain. Now, Mike, I don't know if you could have put more, you couldn't have put the seats over there in Cashman. You could, listen, the way they had it set up for a broadcast was garbage. Not going to agree. But just the whole Cashman feel, everywhere you could sit in that stadium, just the city itself was a fun time and a great fan experience.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You went. It was more of a down in the roots, dirt under the fingernails, being with the people, that kind of a connectedness. You're just everybody
yeah.
is together, right?
Yes, it was.
And that's kind of what the UFL is kind of about, right?
I mean,
We have
it definitely was.
yeah, we have
Definitely.
unparalleled access to players like we've never seen in a professional level before, minus maybe some of the good days in baseball, right? Maybe back in the 80s and 90s when you could just walk up to the dugouts and get signatures before the game or do it after the game. Players would hang out and talk with people, take pictures, blah blah blah, whatever. You can't really do that with baseball. I mean, you can get a couple of minutes, but it's literally like
Yeah.
they've got 5 minutes to sign as many things as they can to get the hell out of there. NFL players very rarely ever deal with the fans. Here, you get to be down with them and talk to them and whatever. Maybe you don't get to go on the field in some cases. I know they don't ever want me on the field, right? Because it gets a little dicey.
They don't want me in the field
But
either in St. Louis.
yeah, well, I mean, we'll see, we'll see. Congratulations, by the way, on your new field. I saw the updates with the lights and everything like that.
Well, we'll see.
You guys,
because, I mean, listen, we'll see. Because I can tell you this, I can already see it now. We're gonna walk into the We're gonna walk into the Battle Dome, and there's gonna be dirt all over the seats.
exactly what I was going to ask you next. Did you guys dust?
No,
I don't think you did.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I doubt they dusted. I doubt they dusted. And listen, my second favorite fan experience was Seattle. Seattle was a great city too. That was. Well, I mean, San Antonio, I put like in a whole nother level. San Antonio holds a very special place in my BHawk Live's heart and the X-Fan shows spot. So San Antonio is like a totally different thing.
So I think if we're going to talk about the Alamo Dome, it's only fair that we bring up the reason why it's even here in the first place.
Toilet Dome?
The Alamo Dome?
The toilet
right?
dome. Right? Yeah.
Well, it's only a toilet when you guys come. So the Alamo Dome was built for the explicit purpose of trying to draw in a professional team.
Correct.
That's one of the reasons why it's so nice.
Uh-huh.
Right? That's why they have the Fiesta Bowl there every year. Yep. That's why all of the Texas high school playoff games or the championship games and everything are held in San Antonio because the facilities are so great. Even 25 years old now, something like that. It is held up. It has held itself well because of what it was initially built for. And even especially with the facelift that they're talking about doing on, the whole downtown area where the Alamo Dome is, they're talking about, giving it a little bit of a facelift because, she's starting to look her age a little bit. No major problems, no water leaks, nothing like that. Not like, Cockjaw where it's raining inside the stadium and it's sunny outside.
Exactly.
But it's specifically was designed for a purpose, and the Brahmins just happen to be able to take advantage of that. So, yeah,
that's a good point. But here's the thing with the Dome of America Center, the Battle Dome, is the city didn't keep up with the upgrades. That was the problem, and they let the dome go to shit. That was
right. Whereas. Right. And we kept up with it because we were still using it for things like the Fiesta Bowl. Right now, we've got Final Four going on this weekend. They use it for concerts, truck pulls, you name it. It's constantly home and garden show, ironically, is a huge thing here. They pack the dome, at least the inner bowl part.
Right.
It's always being used. So there's always, resources there to make sure that, hey, if there's a crack, well, we can fix it.
Well, you guys just Pink there.
Hmm?
You guys had the artist Pink there for her world tour.
Yeah.
And me and Amanda were going to come down because it was around my birthday time. You get Pink, when she came to St. Louis, she went to Enterprise Center. She doesn't go to the Dome.
Yeah.
Scott said that the sound system sounds better. Let's hope. We'll find out come this week. Yes, I love calling the toilet dome because of the toilet dome, just because, because just like Jay calls us, the Battle Chickens. It is the Toilet Dome is a very nice stadium. I mean, listen, you don't hold the San Antonio Spurs in there for what? They played in there for like 15 years.
It was a pretty decent stretch.
Right, yeah. They played there. I mean, and if Jerry Jones, San Antonio definitely deserves a football team, but I mean, you say no, huh?
No, we could have a whole show on that. And right now we're talking about the XFL. If you really want to know why I'm opposed to San Antonio getting an NFL team, hit me up. We can talk about it later. But there's so many more factors that go into it other than Jerry Jones. If Jerry Jones even does play a part in it, it's a very minuscule part, believe it or not.
Right.
So,
yeah. Oh, here Chris says that Ford Field is about to pop with 20K. Hey, listen, I hope you're right. I hope we can get 20K in Ford Field. I hope.
I mean, we'll see. I mean,
All right, well, let's get to
I know.
Go ahead.
2 weeks from now, I will be in Ford Field, and me being a Green Bay Packers fan, I'm going to desecrate that place. Absolutely desecrate it.
Beautiful stadium.
Yeah. Well, it won't be when I'm done.
It's a beautiful, beautiful stadium. All right, let's get to it because somebody just said right here. Let me go up and see where I could find it. No, where's it at?
Caterpie's comment. But real quick, Caterpie's comment, 100% truth. There's a Dallas Cowboys merchandise store in our River Center Mall downtown, and it makes me absolutely sick every time I have to go in.
Right.
It's disgusting.
Right here, Chris says, the Brahmas' chances are all right to rebound. Okay, so let's really get to it, right?
Let's get to it.
Here's the thing. It's, again, like I said, every time that San Antonio has needed to win a big game in St. Louis, what has happened?
Mm-hmm. San Antonio has won.
They've won the big game, right?
Well, against you guys. We needed to win that championship game,
Hawks,
and we did not.
No, we're talking about Battlehawks versus the Browns.
Okay, fair enough.
Remember when you were here for that game? Oh, now I remember who this is. This is a good dude. I do like him. Okay. I remember who it is now. He does live in San Antonio. I've met him every time we've been to San Antonio. He always I forgot his name. My bad. But he always seeks us out. Was
he the group that brought the guys down from Austin to come hang out when San Antonio played? Well, when St. Louis played San Antonio, and we were giving them all
Promise fans, and he was the St. Louis fan.
And we were giving him Alamo beer.
Right. Yeah. Real nice guy. Now
I remember.
He's still an idiot.
I remember that group.
Because he lives
well, whatever. Okay. So, where was that last comment? From Chris. I think San Antonio has the upper hand here because they have more that they're playing for. They have more on the line here, right? We have to bounce back from an absolutely embarrassing loss. There's no reason why we should have lost that game against Arlington. We absolutely looked like trash on both sides of the ball, and there's a lot of pride on the line here, right? So for us, I think it's a bigger game. I think we're playing for more, and I think we're going to come out a lot hungrier. And I think San Antonio is going to be in a dogfight, but we're gonna eke out a win. And I mean, it's going to be tight, like less than 3 points tight.
I see what Chris is saying now. Comerica's got an afternoon game, then to Little Caesars. Okay, I get it. Scott, look, here it was. So we beat him to win the home field advantage, right? San Antonio Jay, if you remember, and Scott, you remember, I told you I would much rather us lose this game and go to San Antonio in the final game of the season for home field advantage. Because I said if San Antonio wins, they are coming back to St. Louis and they are going to beat us. And what happened? What happened, San Antonio Jay? You guys lost.
That's what happens.
And you guys came back. That's correct.
Yep.
Now,
and we had the hot hand. If St. Louis would have lost that game, I think we would have come back into San Antonio a little less hungry, a little less cocky, and a little less ready to play for that true championship game.
100% agree with you. What was this? Didn't the Brahmas miss a field goal that gave us that win? Yeah, you're right. It was in that game. You're right. It was. That's how they beat us. That's how we beat them in that game for the home field advantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I love AJ Smith. We've seen what happens with AJ Smith when he has came off of an embarrassing loss. He rides his players very, very hard and makes them like take up a different level, right? My concern is the way that the Brahmas defense played. And like you had said earlier in this show, Jay, with the not being able to wrap up stuff, I have a feeling we're seeing a new BattleHawks team. We're seeing the Ravens. The BattleHawks might be the Ravens. You're right. They did outplay us in that last game. But again, missed field goal, we capitalized and won the game. That's how it worked. That's how it worked.
Yeah.
And what happened? They came back and they beat us in the championship game.
Yep. And decisively.
Now, I mean, they might have done a little dirty with AJ having to hit and some guys twisting AJ's ankles, but that's all here. You know, that's just hearsay. We don't know. I know what really happened because I had the inside scoop. You know,
you hang on to that then. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
I have a feeling that we're going to see more of running again from the BattleHawks. And if the Brahmas defense plays the same way they did last week and not want to wrap up tackles, I'm gonna have to go with the BHawks for the win.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the other thing. The one thing that has me a little bit do what?
All right, go ahead. Who are you going with? Let's hear it.
Okay. You know I'm going with San Antonio. I already said that. I think as Jan said, Wade's driving the bus, right? Wade's the coach. He needs to start putting pressure on his coaches to start hammering that down. Right? And that should have been Saturday, getting on the bus, going back to the facilities, right? Immediately. Guys, this is not how we play this game. This is not how I trained you. Be ready for 3 days, right?
Yeah.
And just beat the snot out of them as punishment, right? That way they start taking this seriously, because I think there were some players out there that weren't taking this game as seriously as what they should have been, right? We know it's a fundamental to wrap up when you tackle. When you don't wrap up, that means you're not taking the game seriously.
Exactly.
Okay. You have no respect for your opponent. You have no respect for what they've accomplished to get to where they're at. And you're like, oh, I've got this, no problem. And then they blow by you for an extra 5 or 6 yards because you didn't make your stop.
Exactly.
Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. Okay.
I remember when we talked earlier, you're like, oh man, nobody's going to sit here and watch us talk trash to each other. I'm like, bro, we're going to be breaking this game down. And look, we got people watching us, hearing
we do.
What two idiots have to say about a game.
True. But we haven't really totally started talking trash. Like, we're still being a little bit analytical, right? So we're getting towards the end of the show, right? So I guess
talking trash. Here's what's going to happen. You guys. Okay. So now San Antonio Jay, people have asked, are you coming to the game?
Oh yeah. 100%.
And we have a special announcement. San Antonio Jay is staying here at Mikasa. It's this way. You got to point this way, bro.
I'm pointing. My camera's not reversed.
Oh, you got to point. You're over here. You're over here on me.
Okay.
So San Antonio Jay is staying at like mi casa, right? Ain't that how you say it down there in San Antonio?
Mikasa, but close enough.
But here's
There
what
you
I'm
are.
telling you, people. Here's what I'm telling you. He is sleeping on just carpet. He's not getting a bed. He's not getting a cover. Nothing. He gets nothing. Nothing. He's just going to sleep
Nope.
in my studio, and he's going to sleep with all the lights on.
Yep.
And this show playing over and over and over again in his head.
Yep. And I am going to sully every single thing in your studio. Okay? Just so you know I was there.
And you never know. There might be a special show come Saturday. You never know. There might be. There might be a special show coming Saturday. You never know.
You never know.
Look, here's what's going to happen. The Brahmas are going to come up to St. Louis, and Rick Story and Scott, they're going to be cooking us up some Brahma meat, right?
Okay.
Okay, some Brahma steaks. You're going to partake in the Brahma steaks because they're just much better. I mean, barbecue here in St. Louis is much better than barbecue in Texas. It's just a proven fact.
Oh, you got jokes, huh? You got jokes.
Look, here, they're dirty after dark. Hey, you never know. You never know. Depends on how somebody feels after a long, long drive in the rain.
No, we had a show like that. We're not doing that anymore. Remember?
Yeah, I think a lot of us have gotten for doing shows after dark.
Yeah, no more shows after dark. We don't do that.
Sandy said a hidden camera. I might have a hidden camera somewhere around here.
I'm sure you do, but the problem is it's one of those big old Betamax ones that you can't really hide.
Wait, aren't you older than me?
Am I?
I'm 48.
Oh, then I'm older than you.
Exactly. So why would I have a Betamax camera? That would be more you, old man.
Well, because I gave it to you. So
I mean, I could finally call somebody older than me in this spring football world. And
you can by nearly 2 years.
No, you're 49. Didn't you just turn 49?
No, I'll be 50 this year, sir.
Will you? Oh, that's right.
I will.
50, right? Or just turn.
Yep.
You're getting ready to turn 50, and I'm getting ready to turn 49 because I know our birthdays are like right there close to each other.
Yep.
Because I'm September and you're
July.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
So you have the Betamax camera, old man.
That's fine. It still works. That's all I care about.
I mean, look, these people are really saying it dirty in the dark. You're high if you think that's 32 youngins. Juan saying 2 youngins. I think people might want to see it do a dirty after dark.
No.
After dark.
No.
You guys
anyways,
right? Didn't you guys
get
on that once? Because I know I know I did.
I can't talk about that. We just move on.
Right. I can't.
But while you're cooking up those delicious Brahma steaks that you are saying are, barbecue so much better in St. Louis than
it is.
Yeah, but Texas style barbecue is known worldwide, right? We know how to cook.
By who?
Okay.
Just in Texas.
Every barbecue contest is won over Texas mesquite. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, when you wake up from that dream and you realize that it's game day and it's time to actually face San Antonio, I'll make sure I'm going to save a plate of my, world famous trademark pending St. Louis battle wings that you're going to be eating because it's going to be a good layer for all that crow you're going to be eating when San Antonio stomps the St. Louis battle chickens in the chicken coop.
You never know. There might be a post game later that night on Sunday. You never know.
Yeah. You never know.
I think I got to get up early in the morning to go to work because you got to get up early to leave Monday morning.
Yeah, right. So we're gonna be at the post game like this. Oh,
the Jersey guy, okay. Here, the Jersey guy votes Texas view key over everything. Okay, see, like Mike, I agree with Mike. Texas barbecue was way too salty. Like, look, if you have to drench your barbecue that you're cooking over a flame in barbecue sauce, that means you don't know how to cook it right.
No real barbecue expert in Texas does that.
Well, I saw that when I was down there. It was terrible.
That was somebody trying to cover up for bad cooking.
It was called a guy from who's a Green Bay Packers fan.
Me?
Yeah, it was you.
Not me.
Oh yeah, it was.
I didn't barbecue.
No,
I didn't barbecue, sir.
Whatever that concoction you and your sidekick from Texas fucking football cooked up. I destroyed the bowl.
We cooked up wings.
Yeah, terrible.
We always cook up wings when you guys come in.
Because you guys did too much barbecue sauce on them.
We let you be in control of your barbecue sauce, sir. That's on you.
I don't put barbecue sauce on stuff. I can't eat that stuff anymore. So I've lost.
Anyways.
Anyway.
There you go. Cut out the barbecue sauce. There you
All
go.
Right. Look, San Antonio, Jay, I know we got a next couple days. I know that you were hitting the road tomorrow afternoon.
Yes, sir.
So tell people where they can find you. See, Mike says covering up bad barbecue equals
wow.
Covering up Texas barbecue.
Wow. Not necessarily wrong. All my socials. They do. I'll take that. Right. We bet the farm on Jordan Love, and so far it's been bupkis. Yeah, but that's all right, man. I was a Packers fan in the 1980s when we were the worst in the league, so I'm used to it. Okay. Anyways,
tell people
you can find me
all that good stuff.
You can find me anywhere. Social media, Texans Talking Football on Facebook, X, Instagram. We're on Threads. We're on Blue Sky. We're everywhere, man. You need it. YouTube. We've got our own channel there. You need it. You can find us there. Also, our sister show. It's Horns Forward podcast. That's with me, BD, Jorge, the Mariachi Brahma, Tutem Brahmasita, and King Mars, which is DJ, who's, by the way, a very analytical guy. If you want to talk real football, like numbers, X's, and O's, that's the guy you need to talk to. But you can find us basically in all the same places. Horns Forward Podcast is on Twitter, the Facebook, you name it. We're everywhere. And we even have a merchandise store. If you go to the Horns Forward Podcast Facebook page, you can click on the QR code, and it takes you to our store where you can get Horns Forward Podcast merchandise. You can get Texans Talking Football merchandise. You can even get the Vamos Brahmas merchandise. And for a short amount of time left, you can even get some of our Honor and Courage line, which is designed specifically to support the military veterans and suicide prevention, right? A proceed of each sale goes to the organization that is trying to promote awareness about suicide with the vets and just all the things that they have to deal with. So you want the information, go to the Facebook page, then go to the store, check it out. We definitely appreciate your support.
There you go. And right there, as you see, Mike's got a question for you. He says, does SAJay want a Battlehawks Road Warrior koozie?
I mean, I'm always down for fan merchandise to put on display so I can show off what you guys are doing out there. I mean, I have Predator Couple towels. I have Rig Rocker towels. I have a BHawk Live beer. I have the DC City beer. We've got some of our own beer. I love, the trinkets and stuff to show off, right? And you can see my studio wall's pretty bare right now.
Right. San Antonio Jay, you're actually going to get to come and see a real studio, what a real studio is supposed to look like.
Sure.
I'm going to show you what a real studio is supposed to look like. And then you're like, that's all you got? You're a bum and a loser.
By the way, I do want to compliment you on your current background, because that's the exact same background we use for our original Texans Talking Football logo. I'm just saying.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
We had in a stock file and I was just like, screw it. Look, I got my BHawk Live banner behind us right here. I got my BHawk Live logo up there.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, what can I put here in BHawk Live? You think I'm going to put another BHawk Live thing in? And plus, if I put up the XFL STL talk show one, Amanda would kill me.
Probably.
Yeah,
she's going to kill you anyways, though. Right. So
listen, I could get another cease and desist letter for intellectual property, but that's beside the point. What are you going to take from me? All right, guys.
Separate show.
Live. SAJay, thank you for coming on. We will see you you on. I'll see you Saturday.
You'll see me Saturday.
Right, I'll see you Saturday, and all of you BattleHawk fans, you can come see us him at the Grace Baptist parking lot with Rick Story and all of that stuff. And you guys want my attendance figure? Go to Ticketmaster and look. Go buy some tickets because we're gonna be lucky.
Tickets, folks.
We're gonna be lucky if we get 25 in there right now. There's a lot of tickets.
Maybe, but the UFL as a league needs your help, right?
True.
We've got to lean on the fan bases that are bringing in the numbers. So St. Louis,
recovering,
right?
Recovering. You're sick.
Yeah, we tried to take that title, and San Antonio didn't participate with me when I issued that original challenge 3 years ago. And we're not getting anywhere close to challenging that title. So it's up to you guys to be the reigning title holders and keep those numbers coming up.
See, I'm getting in trouble now. Is this overtime? Look, SAJay, you got me in trouble. Is this overtime?
Always, baby. You know SAJay don't ever shut up. All right, call it. Horns forward, guys.
Thank you guys for joining us at BHawk Live. I will see you next week with Mike Faggett. We'll be breaking down the DC Defender game. Tune in next Thursday, 7 o'clock, special time, because Mike's an hour ahead of me. So it's special time, 7 o'clock Thursday. Tune in. Other than that, we will see you guys at the game this Sunday, 5:30. Go get your tickets. Later.
See ya.